It's time for the Las Vegas Sportsline. Brought to you by the Golden Nugget with sports director Tony Miller.
Money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
Presented by WagerTalk.com.
Welcome to the Friday. I'm just laughing at a headline I saw on ESPN News. I'll tell you about that in a second. It's the Friday show, brought to you by the Golden Nugget. Glad to have you with us. A little flip in the batting order this week. Tony Miller will be with us from the Golden Nugget. That's kind of usual on Fridays. But we got Ralph Michaels in here today. Ralph is usually here on Thursdays. And
Teddy and I did the flop.
Yeah, we did, because you have your son visiting in town with his friend, a couple of their girlfriends as well. I'm Dave Cokin, by the way. Ari Platinum is here producing the show. How is the family enjoying Las Vegas?
Doing great. The youngins can do it every night. I can't. I can do it one night, and then I need the day off, so hence the switch with Teddy.
Now I'm interested in this. How, when you say that you're able to go out and do the town for a night, is that an all-nighter? Or
No, that's me up till 1 a.m.
Okay, all right. See, you have to qualify this.
We went up to the Strat for the first time. I had never been up there at the lounge, and I'll tell you what, it's a neat place to go and have a cocktail.
I have not been there since they did the changeover.
During happy hour, it's incredible. It's a great deal. You go up to the 107th floor, you have happy hour. I'm not going to be, it was a nice experience, but beers are $4 at happy hour. It's the same price you'd pay anywhere. And you get a beautiful view, and you go outside, and it's really a nice place to go. It was a great evening stop to get the night started.
Now I'll tell you what you want to tell Jeff and Enzo to do with their girls, and I'm dead serious in this. Not just because it happens to be their show today, but they got to get downtown this weekend. Go to the Nugget.
They are going to Fremont tonight.
Have a great go to the Nugget, have a great dinner, and the Italian restaurant in there is really good. They'll like it. They'll have a good time.
I'm picking them up after, and I'm dropping them off at the Haunted something.
But that I don't know.
Then they're doing that, and then they're going down to Fremont tonight. So,
all right, sounds like fun. Yep. A lot of fun last night at T-Mobile as the Golden Knights pulled out a thriller. They get it done in the shootout against Roberto Luongo, who is absolutely hapless in shootouts at this point. He's faced 9 shots this year in shootouts and has allowed 8 goals.
I could do that.
That's not very good. And actually, he had his first save last night, but then let 2 in. And the Golden Knights come back late to tie the score at 5 and win it in the shootout 6-5. It's an important 2 points because the Coyotes, they're not losing any games. And, Vegas has got to look over its shoulder. They're only 6 points up on this team, and there's still a ways to go. So this was an important come-from-behind win for the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I think for 2 reasons. Because, number one, you have the Stone momentum, and you had the one good win he played. Yep. And if all of a sudden you're losing as a 2-1 favorite against a middle-of-the-road team, that momentum's gone. So that win now allows you to carry it over. We'll talk about it as our marquee matchup, what happens tonight. But I think it was very important for them to keep that momentum with the acquisition and try to get on one of those runs.
It's a good win for the team because it really did look like they were going to get out of there with a 0, and they end up with a 2, and that's found money right there. And that's a break, of course, for those who bet the Golden Knights, but not those who played them. And a lot of Golden Knights money on the puck line around town. We'll talk more about that with Tony in a little bit, but that one did not cash, so I think the books did pretty well in that game. They got what they wanted, which was a 1-goal Golden Knight win. So maybe the bettor's not as happy as the books on that result. How about this weird one? Now, the Magic can't beat the Knicks, but they beat Golden State. I know it's just a regular season thing. It's not a big deal to the Warriors, but I don't know how many people expected Orlando to win straight up against Golden State.
I did.
Really?
Well, I was on with Prez on the presidential address, and there was an NBA angle I gave out, which was under 30% since 2015. Teams that score over 215 points in a close loss and now playing back-to-back games. And you have to remember the effort they put out. They were down 18 or 25 in the first half, came back, had the lead, and then lose that way on the last shot by Wade. And now playing the next night against Orlando, the situation was very difficult.
Now, that's interesting because I think the general reaction, even though it's a tough scheduling spot, is while the Warriors lost,
they haven't been profitable off the loss. I
know,
they've
but
been winning straight up.
But perception out there is that, the best team, and they lost a tough game, and now they're playing a weak team that just lost to the Knicks. Well, Golden State's going to get them. They might not cover, but they're going to get them. Well, you got it right. Nice call. Pac-12 Stunner. Absolute stunner. As Washington, which has been sailing along and has actually been getting some national attention as, hey, maybe the Pac-12 really does have a decent team. It's only one game, but still, they lost to California, which was winless for the season in the Pac-12. That's an upset. And by the way, just looking ahead quickly to Saturday, you got a pretty interesting situational spot here on a garbage game, but you got Washington State coming off a loss by about 80.
In a game, I sort of liked them against Stanford. I thought they might cover again that game.
They got murdered. It was like 50-13 at one time, and it didn't get any better. So they got Wazoo off a completely embarrassing loss, and now going to play the Golden Bears off a win they've got to be celebrating, their first conference win of the season that comes against Washington. Boy, I mean, I'm not telling you to just run out there and load up on Washington State, but I'm going to have to bet the Cougars tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you've got a great dynamic there with a blowout loss and a cover that's a 30-point cover. So, you look at Cal, and nobody has shot 53% from the 3-point range against Washington like Cal did, and that's what they need to do the upset. I mean, you need to make 8 of 15 from 3-point land to be there, but hats off, they did.
It really was fun, that's for sure. What did I put here?
Second matchups.
Why tracking what really happened in first meetings can pave the way for second time. Oh, yeah. Long Beach State. I mentioned Long Beach State yesterday. The first game against UC Santa Barbara this year was ugly, okay? Forget, not talking about the basketball game. There was a lot of trash talking throughout. The report is it was precipitated by an assistant coach on the UCSB bench who was getting on Booker's case. Booker's the best player for Long Beach State, and actually probably he's going to play some pro basketball. This guy's a terrific player. And at the end of the game, there was a bit of a fracas, some ugliness as the teams departed the floor. And this game got circled immediately. It's like, okay, when's the rematch? Because Long Beach State is going to want that game about as much as they've wanted the game all year. So the rematch was last night. And this part I didn't know. The game actually started off with a technical free throw. The very first thing in the game was a technical free throw on a carryover from the end of the first game.
I didn't even know you could do that.
I'd never seen that. I'd never even heard of it before. But the game started with a UC Santa Barbara guy going to the free throw line and shooting a free throw to start the game, 1-0 UCSB. That was about the only. Well, they might have had one or two other leads in the game, but Long Beach State, boy, were they pumped up for this basketball game, and they go into Santa Barbara and get the outright win, and that was a really sweet payoff if you had them on the money line because it was about plus three something. That was my single best game of the season because I played one unit on the side, mentioned it here on the show yesterday, and also had a half unit on the money line, so that worked out well. And I haven't had a great season by any means, but that was probably my best call of the year, and that's why you look, especially in these smaller schools that don't get a lot of national attention, if something... You want to try and get the game recaps because if something unusual happened in the first game, you might get a payback situation.
And sometimes it's not even in the recaps, right? You had a friend at Sacramento State?
That was
a couple weeks ago.
That was actually Scott Spreitzer. Was with his daughter Sarah. His daughter Sarah loves gymnastics.
You talked about it. You didn't mention Scott's name, but the same situation happened at the end of the game.
They had gone to a game in Cedar City. They'd gone down there for a gymnastics meet. And get time to kill, so they went to the Southern Utah basketball game against Sacramento State. And there were some issues at the end of the game. And it's like, you might want to circle the rematch there because this is one that Sacramento State's probably going to want. And they got him.
They got him, yeah. So, again, something to remember.
Yep. So find those reports if you can get them because they will put more money in your pocket than will be taken away in second meetings. Time for us to check out the Friday MJ Christensen Diamonds 4 at 4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put them fours up. Put the fours up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
We will focus on the NBA in this 4 at 4, and we'll save the game at Anaheim between the Golden Knights and the Ducks for later in the show. Let's start off with the Blazers and Raptors. You know, Portland, that great start of theirs is a distant memory. They're still a decent basketball team, I guess. And, look, they're going to Toronto. They're catching Toronto off a big game. Does that matter here?
Well, they're off a big game.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have won 5 straight wins. You beat Golden State before the All-Star break. You won and covered the 4 games since the All-Star break. And, a lot of this line's probably deflated by a couple points because of that. But you look at Toronto, you have one of the best teams in the East, only laying 5 points at home. It seems like cheap. One of those where the line is very cheap.
Yeah.
And a few guys I know are on that side. But to me, I'm looking at the under. Portland has really played solid defense during the stretch. They held Golden State to 40%. They held Philadelphia, and they held Boston to 46% their last game. Toronto 3-7 over under their last 10. Toronto's won 8 out of 9 games, so they are just as hot. But I think this is one of those games where you're going to get an Eastern Conference playoff type feel where as these teams start to kick in to know who they're going to play in the playoffs.
Let's talk about the Wizards and Celtics, and maybe not as much about the game as about the Celtics in general right now.
Like WTF, man. Well, it's crazy.
How much of this are you – we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but there seems to be some buzz at least that there's a chemistry issue and that it centers around Kyrie Irving. Are you buying that?
Well, Kyrie Irving in today's paper said, "Well, listen, I was on the Cavs team, and we were 4-8 at one point, and then we swept everyone in the conference. So don't make too much of it."
But they had LeBron.
That was,
not for nothing. But if you got LeBron, that can change a lot of things.
So maybe he's deflecting. I don't know, but you look at what Boston's done. I mean, in their last 6 games, you lose as a 9.5-point favorite, you lose as a 10-point favorite, you lose as an 11.5-point favorite. But can you back Washington, who's 8-24 straight up on the road?
They don't play any defense.
Washington is 10 straight overs this year. So the way Boston's playing as well, I would have to lean with the over because I don't want either side in this game.
It's not that I'm a fan of the Sacramento Kings, but I kind of am this year. I like the effort this team's showing. One of the problems I have with the NBA, and I watch more NHL than NBA by a wide margin, and part of the reason I do that is, the NHL, you almost always get an honest effort for 60 minutes, and sometimes more than that, out of every team in the league, whether they're good, bad, or in the middle. You can't always say that in the NBA. There's too many mail-it-in games. But one team that has not been mailing it in at all this year, basically, is the Sacramento Kings. I like what I'm seeing from this team. They're fun to watch. The Clippers have also been, I think maybe you could say, a pleasant surprise. I don't think many people had them in the playoff chase going into the season. They've got a chance to make it. So not a bad game, and some importance to this game as well.
I'm starting to believe in the Kings. I was close to actually using this. I've used 2 NBA plays all year. I was close to using the Kings.
Yeah, you and I don't play much NBA.
Right. If the situation comes up and I'm reading something for a college team and I start getting invested, I might look. But, the Kings are 14-2 against the spread. Their last 16 as a favorite. They're 11-1 against the spread. Their last 12 at home. They're taking care of business. They're only a 3.5-point favorite. And the Clippers are off a Utah game, which we know, playing Utah with only 1 day rest. It's a physical game on the road, playing a second straight road game.
And the favorite for the Most Valuable Player award will be at Staples Center tonight as the Greek Freak and the Milwaukee Bucks take on the Lakers. The Lakers had better clamp down on defense if they want to win this basketball game. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, LeBron talked about getting into that playoff intensity, and you watch highlights, and he's playing Olay defense, not even guarding. That's not the LeBron I saw getting ready for the playoffs in Cleveland because he led the defensive charge when he really wanted to win a game. But, to me, I can't lay 5 with Milwaukee because Antetokounmpo, is on a limited pitch count. He sat out 2 games ago. Last game against Sacramento, he only played 19 minutes into the fourth quarter. Their lead got cut to 10. They brought him back in for a few minutes. And they said from here on out for the next few weeks, they're going to keep him at a 24-minute mark. So if you're only playing your best player for half a game and you're a 5-point road favorite against LeBron, who says he wants to win, I would have to back LeBron.
Okay, good enough. Tony Miller joining us right now from the Golden Nugget. And Tony, at the beginning of the show, we're talking to Ralph's son is in town along with his girlfriend and another friend of his, Enzo, and his girlfriend. And I guess they're going to head downtown tonight. And I said, look, you want to start the evening in perfect fashion. Make a reservation at the Italian restaurant down at the Golden Nugget. You are on your way to a great night in downtown Las Vegas. Any disputes on that?
None for me, Dave. I'll tell you, the Grotto restaurant, the Italian restaurant here at the Golden Nugget, is second to none. It is so good. And you have the ambiance by sitting by the glass and looking out of the pool and stuff.